Hi, I'm Lin.
And I'm Leo. Welcome to Yoga with Lin and Leo.
And welcome to our tutorial today. We are going to be showing you a few ways to refine your Baddha Konasana. So if some of you find this pose really difficult, then we do have an introduction to Baddha Konasana in our directory. But this is really assuming that you can come into this pose with the legs open a little bit.
So some of you might know this pose as bound angle pose. Some people call it Cobblers Pose and some people call it butterfly pose.
Yes.
But they're all the same thing. Basically it's the soles of the feet together and extending into the inner knees.
Alright, so you can see that Leo is sitting on a couple of foam pads. You may need to sit higher, or you may be able to go down a little bit towards the floor side. So what we're going to do is prepare the legs. So when you come into Baddha Konasana, taking the soles of the feet together, so we're going to just show with this action. Now what's really important here is you see that Leo's pulling those feet in, but what I'm going to ask her to do now is to take those feet out. And it's really nice using the blanket because you can slide. So what we're going to do here is to have a look at the ankles, because this really does hold a lot of people up, and you can see here for Leo that her knees are up. So we do a lot of work in terms of understanding this rotation in the standing poses, and we don't really talk very much about the lower leg, but if you come into poses where it requires half Padmasana action, sometimes the ankles can really be quite challenging. So what we do here is to give the leg a little bit of height here. You can see here the strain is not now on the ankle, and then this area has got to turn as well. So all of this has got to turn, all of this really down here. So the foot turns this way. So you can see now how this is a little bit softer. So this has really got to work, and this one as well, you've got to get this turned, but it's here as well. So these feet really need to turn out like that. You can feel the difference in the action. So what we tend to do, let me just show, I'm going to change that action. Can you see how that now puts a lot of strain on the ankle? So this whole area needs to get this rotation, that's it. Lifting the heels up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this underneath Leo's heels. Now you can lift them on a blanket, your heels on a blanket, got a little hole in this area. I think you can probably get these from Yoga Matters, which is our local supplier. They would call them donuts, but actually they're not donuts, you can't eat them. Alright, so, and I'm just going to pop this here so that Leo can still get that action and rotate in this way. So, and then placing the hands to the floor. I'm going to have got one foot down actually, and lifting up, so that you can feel the difference. And also there's still a little bit of strain in there, isn't there? So really we could do with going a little bit higher. So let me just show you. So what we're going to do is take this away and then roll this blanket up a little bit more, so Leo can actually put her heels onto here. So she's going to have a go, yeah. So what, yes, that's better. So you can see now that's taken away the stress in that ankle, and also this lower leg is really nicely working. So you could probably do with a couple of bricks behind you. Leo's holding on for dear life with them all there. So but it's quite useful and quite helpful, and you haven't got that aggression now in these ankles, so you're getting that rotation. So this is one way how to progress your Baddha Konasana. Now what we're going to do now is to release the legs, and another way of doing is by placing the brick between the feet. Now this is quite a nice way. You're not going to get such a great action perhaps on the legs going down, but what you do is get an understanding of the groin. And again, I would really want to put a little bit of support underneath both ankles actually, just to give that little bit of support there. And if you've got obviously a blanket, we'll put a blanket on the other side. Does that make it feel a little bit? Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? You can really work into that action. Okay, so those are two ways of working a little bit differently and trying to progress the action. And now we're just going to come into a very simple action where we take the soles of the feet in this position, so one foot will go on the other like this. So you can see here, this really does help Leo's pose enormously. It kind of really gives her a little bit of a fulcrum to work with. So this is another nice way of working, but do try all methods because they're quite useful. And again, if you find this really difficult, then do go back to our Baddha Konasana stage 1 and we'll go straight from the beginning with that video.
Yes, you know, for me this is a very nice way to work. It gives me some access into this pose that I have to say has been a challenging pose for me to do.
Yes, yeah, I think it's challenging for most people. But just don't get stuck or hung up on one method because all of the methods are very valid. If you're dropping those ankles in that way, then you'll be dropping them in your standing poses. So be sure that you're working the whole of the leg and not just some of the leg.
Yes, and do use some height if you find that that's useful. And certainly when I started doing this pose, I used to have to work with my back to the wall because I couldn't get enough support.
Yes, and we do go through that in our stage 1 Baddha Konasana video. So don't get overly frustrated if these actions are a little bit too advanced.
So we hope that you enjoyed exploring Baddha Konasana a little bit with us today, and hopefully we'll see you again next time. Namaste.